Yes, good afternoon, students. We meet again with the chapter 6, lecture 4. Okay, now we start with the translocation of water, that is basically called as ascent of sap. Okay, now what do you find in here? You find that the ascent of sap is nothing but the movement or the transport of water with dissolved minerals from the root to the other aerial parts like the stem, leaves against the gravity, because we know according to the gravity everything falls from up to down, but here the water has to travel from the roots to the different parts of the plant body like the stem and the leaves. So the transport of water with the dissolved minerals need to travel from the roots to the to the aerial parts of the plant like the stem and the leaves. So we call this as the translocation of water or the ascent of sap. Now as you find here, the translocation of water occurs through the lumen of the conducting elements of xylem, tracheids and vessels. Now we had seen in the earlier lectures, we had seen the xylem and the phloem, right? So here we find that the translocation of water occurs through the lumen, which has been assisted by the xylem, tracheids and the vessels. Okay, so a ringing experiment has been approved that xylem is the path of ascent of sap. That means the xylem helps in the ascent of sap. That means movement of upward. You will find in the earlier lectures, like let's see. Okay, one second. Uh, let's see. 1 minute. Mm, 1 second. Let's see the xylem and here. 1 second. Now here you can see here the xylem and phloem. Now here in the xylem, as we see here in the diagram, the water and minerals, the two red arrows. Here we are able to see, right? Here we are able to see. Here we are able to see the two red arrows. Okay, and we are able to see how it is moving upwards. The two arrows that is going upwards in the xylem, yes. So we here they see the water and minerals, how it is going upward. So here in the xylem, you can see the water going upward. So when this water is that is going upward, we say that is the translocation of water, that is the ascent of sap through the vascular tissue. So this is the xylem that is taking the water and minerals upward. Okay. So we go to our we see here. Okay. So here in the ascent of sap, there are two physical theories. One is the root pressure theory that has been explained before, and the other is the imbibitional force. Now, what do you understand by the imbibitional force? You understand that the water rises by imbibition. What we had seen in imbibition, for example, we had seen, especially during rainy days, we had seen that the water rises up the, say, on the walls, on the दरवाजे अपने आप फूल जाते हैं, right? So that is imbibition. पेपर आपने रखा है, पेपर को पानी में रखा है, पानी अपने आप चढ़ जा रहा है ऊपर से, कुछ हद तक imbibition है, and then we say diffusion also takes place through that. Okay, so the water rises by imbibition. We had seen an example of the raisins, wherein the raisins have been soaked in water and the raisins absorb the water. So we say that was an example of imbibition. So what do we find here? The water rises by imbibition through the thick walls of the xylem cells as well as the sclerenchyma of the phloem. So the xylem and the phloem, they both are responsible for the imbibitional force, and you find the forces of imbibition seem adequate for carrying water to any required distance. That means this water is being carried up mainly by the xylem. the arrows that I showed you, we had seen on the right hand side the phloem that is bringing the food from the leaves that we had seen in the earlier lecture. If you go through the earlier lecture, the lecture number 2 or the first lecture, you will find in the first lecture, right, of the chapter 1 of the chapter 6, lecture 1. In that you will see, you go through that, you will find in the phloem, the food that has been made by the leaves has been brought down by the phloem to the different parts. Okay, but here in bibitional force, we also say that the water is being taken up to a certain extent by the xylem tissues, and the imbibitional force works with other forces to aid that helps in the ascent of sap. So here you find here in the diagram, what do you find here? You find here, see the osmosis pushes water into the root hairs, okay, and what do we find here? See here, you see the osmosis pushes the water to the root hairs, okay, and it is moving up, so the root pressure pushes the water to the stem. So what happens? The capillary action results in the rise up of the water at the base of the stem. So the water is been rising up from the base of the stem. Adhesion and cohesion makes the column of the water molecules move upward, and the transpiration creates the transpiration pull. So here, when we say imbibition, so the water rises with this additional forces also that helps in the rising of water in addition to the xylem tissue. Okay. Now, according to the transpiration pull or the cohesion theory, which was being proposed by Dixon and Joly in 1894, what was it based on? We saw that in the first lecture we had understood what do you mean by adhesion and cohesion. So you should remember what do we mean by adhesion and cohesion and the properties of water. Now here the transpiration pull force developed in the leaves by the transpiration. So here in the previous we saw here here you will see what you had seen, there was a transpiration pull by the leaves. Okay, so here, the transpiration pull force developed in the leaves by the transpiration, and the cohesion is the phenomenon of attraction between the similar molecules. So water molecules remain attracted by the cohesive force, and that is how the water tends to move upward. So there is an attraction between the water molecules and the inner wall of the xylem by the adhesive property. Due to this, the water forms a continuous column in the xylem vessel. Okay, so we need to understand. I'll just go to the addition and just try to recall. I don't know how many of you will be able to remember. 1 second. See here, do you remember cohesion and adhesion? So what do you mean by cohesion? Water molecules stick together as a process of cohesion. Okay, and adhesion when water molecules form hydrogen bonds with other molecule. So between the two molecules there is a hydrogen bond. Okay, so that's what we meet, and here's the capillary action. So the cohesion, adhesion, and the capillary action. So these are the different uh, forces or different aids that help in the process of translocation of water. That is the ascent of sap that we are talking about. Okay, so you need to understand. Okay, so there is an attraction between the water molecules and the inner wall of the xylem by the adhesive property. So with what we spoke about adhesion property, there are two molecules which have been attached by the hydrogen bond. So the attraction between two molecules with the help of the hydrogen bond and the xylem, so that creates a water column. Okay, and helps in the movement of the water. So the root pressure theory, this is the theory that you need to understand. Now at the roots, cells in contact with the soil actively take up the mineral ions. That means what we had seen, that the water and the minerals that travel from the root to the stem to the different parts. In addition to that, there are mineral ions also. So this creates a difference in the concentration of ions between the roots and the soil. So there is a different concentration of ions between the roots and the soil. So the roots are present in the soil. So there's a different concentration gradient. You need to understand that. Therefore, the water moves from the soil into the cells to eliminate this difference. Okay. So there is a steady movement of water into the root xylem, creating a water column that is steadily pushed upwards, and this is due to the creation of pressure in the xylem vessels and the roots. So this is an experiment. The manometer has been showed, yes, to show the root pressure theory. Okay. So you have that it in your textbook. Okay. Now here, so in 1956, Stocking defined root pressure as a pressure developing in the trachy elements of xylem as a result of metabolic activities of roots. So this was an experiment that was conducted. So if a well-watered plant is cut near its base, the xylem sap is seen to flow out through the cut ends with a pressure. That means कहाँ से आप कट कर देंगे वहां से सेल sap निकलने लगेगा. Okay, with a pressure. So this pressure is actually the hydrostatic pressure developed in the root system called as the root pressure. So here in the root pressure, you will see the rate of transpiration is low, roots still collecting the minerals, the water is being forced from the higher pressure in the roots to the lower pressure in the leaves. That is how there's a difference in the concentration gradient, and the water tends to move from the roots to the leaves. That's how it has been moving, and it forms like a water column. Okay. So there was certain objection to the root pressure theory, okay, wherein it rises to a particular extent only. It doesn't rise beyond a certain limit. Okay. Then there was a capillary theory. Now in this capillary theory, the physical forces and dead cells are responsible for the ascent of sap. This was another theory. Now हम दिवाली पे दिए जलाते हैं, राइट? दियों में हम लोग वो कॉटन की बत्ती लगाते हैं. द कॉटन विक यू कैन सी हियर, इट इज जस्ट सिमिलर. सो हियर यू कैन सी दिस इज ऑयल, से दिस इज अ दीपक, ओके, एंड यू हियर दिस इज द कॉटन विक. कॉटन की बत्ती जो हम लगाते हैं, दिस इज द कॉटन विक, और ऊपर की तरफ आग लगाते हैं, राइट? नाउ वो आग कैसे चलती रहती है, क्यों चलती रहती है? क्योंकि तेल यहाँ के टिप से यहाँ चलता रहता है और यहाँ पे सप्लाई करता रहता है. Okay, so what is happening is this is a capillary action. Okay, so this is continuously providing oil to the tip of the wick, and the flame continuously goes on glowing. Okay, so what you find here, see, Boehm, there's another scientist in 1863. What he did do was, the wick dipped in an oil lamp shows capillarity, due to which the oil is raised upwards. Now, in the same way, the conduction of water in a straw dipped in water is raised to a certain extent. मतलब अगर आपने एक straw पानी के अंदर रखी, तो आप देखेंगे straw में पानी भर जाता है, पर एक पर्टिकुलर लिमिट तक भरता है, पूरे ऊपर तक नहीं आता है. It will rise only to a particular height. Okay, so that depends. Now here you will find the upper चार फ्लावर्स रखे हैं. आप देखोगे सबकी सब कंटेनर्स की विड्थ और स्ट्रक्चर अलग है ना? आप यहाँ देखेंगे सबकी स्ट्रक्चर इनका अलग है. ये देखो यहाँ पे, ये ग्रीन, रेड, व्हाइट एंड ब्लू, इन सब में स्ट्रक्चर्स में, तो इनका जो हाइट में, कितने हाइट में वो चढ़ेगा विल वेरी. जैसे ये भी कैपिलरीज हैं, ये 3 प्रकार की कैपिलरीज हैं. जैसे इसमें चौड़ाई बहुत ज्यादा है तो पानी बहुत कम चढ़ेगा ऊपर, ये थोड़ा कम चौड़ा है उससे थोड़ा और ऊपर चढ़ेगा, और जितनी पतली डंडी है उतना ही ऊपर तक पानी चढ़ेगा. Okay, so the height to which the water is raised depends on the diameter of the straw. Okay, so this is also applicable to the plants also. Okay, so here what you understand, the capillarity is because of the surface tension and the forces of adhesion, that is attraction with the molecules, and adhesion, that is attraction between the unlike molecules. So the xylem or the trachea with its lumen is comparable with the straw, and you could see the water being rising up to a particular height. Okay, so these are the certain objections of the capillarity theory. Now you will see here in the capillary tube what are the different limitations of the capillarity theory. You would find that it would go to a certain extent. Yes, the capillary tube or the xylem must be continuously and completely hollow from one end to the other end, but tracheids in the xylem show closed end walls. So xylem is at particular end it is closed. So there is a limitation for that. Okay. So you go through this objections and limitations of the capillary theory. Now narrower the capillary tube, the greater is the height to which the water column is raised. Okay. So thus the taller trees should show xylem vessels with very narrow bore or a diameter, and it tends to rise up much faster in comparison to the others. Okay, so here you can see the water being rising up. So transpiration, the evaporation of water from the stomata creating a tension that pulls the water, as we learned it in the previous slide. Okay, so this is little more explained. The same thing you put up. You need to understand this. So the transport of mineral ions. So the soil serves as a main source for the minerals. The minerals constitute mostly solid crystalline inorganic materials obtained from the earth's crust. Minerals play an important role, like you say the calcium, iron, जैसे हमको चाहिए होता है, वैसे पौधों को भी चाहिए होता है mineral ions, okay, for the different activities of the plants, okay, and the transport of food. So all the plants require continuous supply of food, and the chloroplasts are confined to green cells of leaves where food is being synthesized. Okay, so the non-green parts like root, so the non-green parts like the roots and stem must receive food from the leaves. So the part where the food is synthesized is called the source. So what is the source here? Is the chloroplast, where it is the leaves, and while the part where it is utilized is called as the sink. Okay, the food has to travel from source to sink. Now you will find, you had studied in 11th standard also, the chloroplasts manufacture food with the help of photosynthesis, right? So the chloroplast or the leaves is the source, and where is the food being utilized? It is utilized by the entire part of the plant, other parts of the plant. So that is called as sink. So this movement of food from one part to the other is called as the translocation of food. जो हमने ascent of sap पढ़ा, that is translocation of water. This is translocation of food. Okay. So this translocation of food is being done basically by the phloem. So the food is being translocated to longer distances in higher plants. Hence, plants must have adequate channels for the transport of food. So as we had seen earlier, the sieve tubes and the vessels of the phloem are structurally suited for the longitudinal vertical translocation. So what happens is food is always translocated in the form of sucrose, that is soluble in the soluble form, and always along with the concentration gradient from source to the sink. So that is how the water is being transported, the food is being translocated to the different parts of the plant. Now vertical translocation and lateral translocation. Now here in the vertical translocation, you would see that in vertical translocation, the food is translocated in the downward. मतलब वो straight है, so the food is being translocated downward from the leaf to the stem and to the root. Yes, so it also occurs in the upward direction. It also moves in the upward direction during germination of seeds. मतलब बीज जब germinate किया जाएगा और जब खाना बनेगा तो वो क्या होगा? It will move in upward direction. So the upward translocation also occurs from leaves to growing point of stem. That means the apical bud, because the food is not only required up to the roots, but it is also required upwards where the plant is tending to grow. Okay, पौधे को बढ़ना है, तो अगर नीचे की लीव्स हैं वो मैन्युफैक्चर कर रही हैं, तो नीचे से खाना ऊपर की तरफ भी जाएगा, क्योंकि पौधों को लंबा उगना है. It has to grow in height. Okay, so the upward translocation also goes to the developing flowers and fruits and the nearby branches of the stem. Now, the next part, the lateral translocation, it occurs in root and stem. Lateral matlab is taraf. Okay, okay. Now, what happens when the food is translocated phloem to the pith is called as a radial translocation. Radial matlab radius mein. Radius. What is a radius? We know that. And from the phloem to the cortex, it is called as tangential. So, what is this? Is a circle and this is the tangent. So, it will move in the tangential form. So, it has to go in a radial form. So, the radius, so if this is a circle and this is a radius, the diameter complete, yes, from one end to the other end, radius the smaller half of the diameter. So, now from the phloem to the cortex, so the phloem sap contains mainly water and food in the form of sucrose, that is the sugars, amino acids and hormones are also transferred to the phloem. Now, what is this? The food is been transported by direction. That means वो नीचे भी जा रहा है और नीचे से ऊपर भी आ रहा है. ठीक है, दोनों डायरेक्शन में खाना मूव कर रहा है. ओके, so here what do you find? See the mechanism of sugar transport through the phloem. So here what do you find? You find this is here, as you see here in the diagram, you find the xylem and the phloem. Yes, here you see the xylem नीचे से ऊपर जा रहा है, तो हमने क्या बोला था? Translocation of water, and that is the water and the minerals, mineral ions, right, to the xylem. Now here the water flows into the phloem, and here the food. See here the sucrose. There is a leaf cell. See here it's mentioned the leaf cell. Okay, so the source where the food is been made. So the food from the source is been going to the phloem. It is going downward. Okay, it is going to the root. So the food that has been prepared is also needed by the stem, also needed by the root, and that food also then goes to the xylem. So the it moves again through the osmosis, it will go also to the xylem. Okay, so here this is mechanism of sugar transport through the phloem. So what you find at the sink end, root cell utilizes sugar and also polymerizes excess sugar into the starch. So this portion you need to understand, the exoosmosis is there. Okay, now wherein the water in the root cell is lost to the surrounding cells by decreasing the turgidity of the cell, and in return what happens, the turgor pressure is been lowered. So at the end the sugar is used and the excess amount of water is being removed out of the xylem. Okay, now here the main objection of this theory was it does not explain the bidirectional transport of food. It shows that it goes to the roots. Yes, it is moving, but then still it does not explain the exact process. Okay. Now we go to the next part, that is transpiration. Now transpiration, you need to understand, takes place, where does it take place? In the stomata, in the leaves. So stomata also allow water vapor to escape the leaf. So loss of water vapor in plants is called as transpiration. So here in the diagram, you will be able to understand that these are the structures, these are the stomata that are present on the leaf surface. Okay. Now, here from the leaf surface, you will find 10% of water has been lost to the cuticle. Matlab leaf ke cuticle is what? Is the outermost covering of the leaf, and 90% of water is being lost from the stomata. What happens? It has been lost by the stomata. Yes. Now, from where is the water transpired? So it's been transpired from the aerial parts of the young plants. Then it has been transpired from the lenticels. Now lenticels here is at the tip, at the surface of the stem, the cutin, okay, and from the stomata. 90% is lost from the stomata. Now here, see, you can see here the types of transpiration. Now here in the lenticels, here the lenticels, here the small openings. This is the lenticels, the small openings here. Uh, do you remember uh, we had done the functions of root, the modifications of root, and in the modifications of root, we had seen the pneumatophores, the small openings, yes, the lenticels. We had seen, in this the other modifications also, wherein we had seen the lenticels. Yes, this is the second part, the cuticular transpiration, and the third, the stomatal transpiration that is present on the stomata on the leaf surface. Okay, so these are the three different types wherein the transpiration takes place. Okay, now in the cuticular transpiration, the loss of water uh, to the cuticles. Okay, the loss of water from the lenticels and the loss of water from the stomata. So the major water loss is from the stomata, from the leaf surface. Okay. Now here, these are the structures of the stomata. These stomata, you will see these are structures, closed and open stomata, wherein they are basically kidney-shaped structures. Okay. And the lenticels, these are the opening on the stem surface. Now here, you need to understand the stomata close and open. Now this stomata, these two, this kidney shaped structure, these are all, what is it called? The guard cells. Okay, these are the guard cells, and these tiny structures inside it, the chloroplast, okay, the outer cell, outer wall, and the inner thicker wall. Now here you will see these two kidney structures, they are open, they are not joined, whereas here there is almost negligible gap between the two guard cells or the two kidney shaped structures. Okay, so this is a stomata that is closed. So you find there are two kinds of stomata. One is for the monocot sheet and the dicot sheet. Now here you will find here the grass-like stomata here. These are just like dumbbells, okay. And the other one we see the dumbbells. ऊपर दोनों एंड ये वाला एंड और ये वाला एंड दोनों फूले हुए हैं और नीचे पतला है. सो दिस आर लाइक डम्बल्स जो वेट पुलिंग करते हैं ना, डम्बल्स. तो these are monocots and these are two kidney shaped structures. So these are dicots. So ये dicot का स्टोमाटा है और ये मोनोकॉट का स्टोमाटा है. ठीक है. Now there are more structures called as hydatodes also. Now आपने देखा होगा fern plant, the pteridophytes. Now here the pteridophyte, the fern plant आप देखोगे उन fern plants के इन fern plants के टिप, लीफ के टिप के ऊपर you find there are small tiny openings called as hydatodes. सफेद सफेद dots रहते हैं इनके ऊपर, okay, and they are also responsible for the removal of water. और क्योंकि water निकल जाता है और कुछ chemicals पीछे रह जाते हैं, इसलिए वो white white spots आपको वहां पे नजर आता है. Okay, so here you will find, see, a hydratode is a type of secretory tissue in leaves that secretes water through the pores in the epidermis or the margins of the leaves. Okay, and they probably evolved from the modified stomata and are connected to the plant vascular system or the vascular bundle. Now you need to understand adaptations for the gas exchange. Now what happens in here? You find the leaves are adapted to increase the rate of diffusion of gases and to reduce the rate of water loss by evaporation. Now they tend to lose the water by evaporation. Okay, and now here what do you find? The flat leaf surface increases the area of diffusion. Yes, so here you will find what happens. The guard cells control the opening and closing of stomata and controls the water loss. Okay, clear? So there's an exchange of gases that could take place from the leaf surface and that is taking place from the stomata also. Okay, then here is a difference between the stomata and the lenticels which you need to go through and understand. The stomata and the hydatodes. This is again guttation, just for your more information. Transpiration and guttation. Now this is the process of transpiration. That is how during the daytime, how the process of transpiration takes place. How does the opening and closing of stomata takes place, and what happens to the structure of the guard cells, what happens and how does it expel out the malic acid. That is basically the photosynthesis and the respiration process that has been taking place. खाना बनने के बाद कैसे यूटिलाइज कैसे हो रहा है and what are the different changes that are taking place. Okay, so basically this is opening and closing of stomata. Yes, basic opening and closing of stomata. So you need to understand how the endoosmosis and exoosmosis takes place to the starch and sugar interconversion theory. So here the theory of proton transport. So what actually happens in the starch and sugar transport theory? So here it's been explained. what happens during the daytime and during the nighttime. The starch is converted into the malic acid. The malic acid dissociates to form malate and protons. And protons have been transported to the subsidiary cells, and the potassium ions are imported from them. The potassium malate is formed that increases osmomolarity and causes endoosmosis. So basically, कैसे ये starch and sugar interconversion कैसे हो रहा है is been explained in the proton theory of proton transport. Okay, and this is the same transpiration and translocation that's been explained out here in the form of a diagram. This is a distinguish between transpiration versus translocation and the significance of transpiration. What is the significance of transpiration? Transpiration is a necessary evil. अगर ये नहीं होगा तो प्लांट को क्या फायदा और क्या नुकसान होगा? तो फायदा क्या है? इट अब्सॉर्ब्स द वाटर, राइट? नीचे से ऊपर प्लांट वाटर मूवमेंट करवाता है, ट्रांसपिरेशन मिनरल मूवमेंट कराता है, और क्या करता है? इट हेल्प्स इन द कूलिंग ऑफ द लीव्स. इट प्रोटेक्ट्स द प्लांट्स फ्रॉम गेटिंग हीटेड अप. सो दैट्स, जैसे हम लोग भी गर्मी के दिनों में क्या होता है, पसीना आता है और हमारे बॉडी सरफेस से पसीना निकलता है. So we have the sweat pores. In the same way, in case of plants, it is the stomata, it is the lenticels, or it could be the cuticle. So different प्रकार से हमारे बॉडी से जैसे पसीना निकलता है, उसी प्रकार से the transpiration takes place from the different lenticels, cuticle and through the stomata. And पसीना आने से हमारे बदन को क्या होता है? ठंडक पहुंचती है. उसी प्रकार से in the same way here also it cools the plant. So why transpiration is called the necessary evil? So the transpiration is a necessary evil. Why? For transpiration, what happens? The stomata must remain open during the daytime, and when the stomata are open, there's a gas and exchange needed for the respiration and photosynthesis. Because photosynthesis में क्या होता है? खाना बनता है, और रेस्पिरेशन में क्या होता है? खाना इस्तेमाल होता है. ठीक है ना? खाना बनेगा कैसे बनेगा? अगर नीचे से पानी ऊपर चाहिए, पानी चाहिए, सनलाइट चाहिए और क्लोरोप्लास्ट चाहिए, तब खाना बनेगा, राइट? So you need the translocation of water, the water and the minerals coming from the root to the stem to the leaf. पर लीफ में पानी कब आएगा? जब पानी सरफेस, लीफ के सरफेस से पानी इवेपोरेट नहीं होगा, वो ट्रांसपिरेशन फुल नहीं होगा, तो पानी नहीं आएगा. Okay, so this is basically a vicious cycle which is continuous. So everything that is needed, for example, even the transpiration is needed. So if the transpiration stops, what will happen? It will affect the productivity of the plant through the loss of photosynthetic and the respiratory activity. Okay, so this cannot be avoided, and it is needed for the plant to survive. Okay, yes. So you need to understand. Basically, you might have seen, I have explained this chapter. Why? Because even though this chapter was this portion, you might have seen certain part of this chapter is deleted from the board part, but it's I have explained in here so that it would help you in your NEET and MHCT exams. Because these are certain basic concepts that you need to understand, and even though if it is deleted from the board syllabus, it would be still there in the NEET and your MHCT. So certain concepts you need to understand. So basically, you could skip out the theories or the part that is objections are there, that you could skip it out. But basic concepts of the transpiration, the cuticular transpiration, the lenticular transpiration, you need to understand what are these. Okay, so when you understand the difference between the hydratode, the stomata, the guttation, you will not understand. You will not be able to answer the MCQs in the MHCT and the NEET exams. So hence, this the last part, it was put up in the slide, but it's gone in a much faster way so that you understand the concept. Okay, so we end with this chapter today. Okay, so just the beginning part of this chapter is included in the board exam. The remaining chapter is not there in the board, but still you need to go through. Why? Because that would help you to understand the different concepts, the different terms that would help you in your MHCT and NEET exams. Okay, so we end here, students. So go through this chapter. Okay, so next week we would start with a new chapter. Okay, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.